Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by Cal Friedman. How's it going, man?
It's great, man. Thank you for having me on, Casey.
So just kind of introduce yourself and tell everybody what you do.
Okay. So I'm a senior at the University of Miami. I'm heavily involved with our student-run radio station, WVUM 90.5 FM. I broadcast football, basketball, and baseball games for the station. I also produce a couple of the games. And on top of that, I'm a news anchor for our student-run TV news station, UMTV, for our news show, News Vision. And I also write for Kane Sport, which is a website covering my Hurricanes.
Yeah. So what made you want to get into the broadcasting side of things?
Um, that's a great question because I really wanted to be involved with sports for a long time. Me and my dad would always grow up watching sports games together. He really got me into it. And I really wanted to be an athlete, but at some point you get to a point where you know you're probably not going to play professionally. And I kind of figured it's like, all right, well, how else can I chase, being in sports? And at the time I was a big talker. I watched all the games, I kept up the stats, and I loved the debate. So naturally I was just kind of like, why don't I start broadcasting? Like it's kind of like combining two things I really like to do, which is sports and talking. And it kind of just naturally came and I really enjoy it.
So talk about some of the things that you've been able to do, like broadcasting wise.
Oh man, it's been incredible. I mean, I have to thank the University of Miami for what they've been able to give me because it's phenomenal. They promise that, you get there and you're able to work from day one. And, being at Miami, I've called over 120, 130 games now. Um, I've been able to work three internships, I should say, actually, for baseball, one in Florida, one in Massachusetts, and one in Minnesota this last summer. And I've been able to travel places like Atlanta, Boston, um, so many great cities in the ACC. I was just in Charlottesville this last weekend for baseball. I've been to Clemson. I've been to Carolina. Like it's just been unbelievable.
Yeah. Kind of talk about the writing side of things. So just what's that been like?
I actually love the writing side of things. I did a lot of more writing in high school because there weren't a whole ton of opportunities to broadcast, but I love telling like feature stories, and I love to do stories of triumph. Guys coming back from injury, guys transfer over from their schools making an impact, and I really like doing it because when you cover that side of the player, it really opens you up on a broadcast as well. Because something I've learned a lot over the last year and a half is, you can plug a broadcast with as much prep as you want with stats and how good a guy is with the runners in scoring position or how many home runs he hit the season before. But what people really want to hear is how these guys are as people. And being able to write actually gives you a great opportunity to get to know these guys one on one, talk to them about what they want to talk about, learn their stories. And then when you're able to tell that over the air, it's the best thing ever.
Yeah. So talk about what you've been able to broadcast just this year.
Just this year, so I called Miami versus Florida State, which is a huge rivalry game.
Yep.
That was one of the coolest atmospheres I was in at the start of it because it was our first sellout in 4 years, and it was a primetime game. The game didn't go great, but it was still like unbelievable just to be there and experience that because I mean Miami Florida State's one of the biggest games you can call for a Miami student. I got to go to Clemson for Death Valley um, to see that atmosphere, which just was incredible. I got to go on a couple of road trips with the women's basketball team where I would fly with the team. I went to Florida State where we lost. We went to Georgia Tech where we won. And for basketball, I got to call sold out whiteout game against Duke, which we routed them. And that was really cool. And broadcasting alone this year in baseball, I've called, I think, 10 games now. And I'm going to call a lot more. And I'm going to get the opportunity to call ACC tournament and hopefully regionals and that and beyond.
So talk about just like what is your favorite sport to call?
You know what? It's funny because I wouldn't have pictured it when I got here, but I would say baseball. Something I was told when I got here is baseball's the sport with the biggest learning curve on radio.
Yeah.
But when you get that curve and when you figure it out, it's the best thing ever. And whereas with football and basketball, you're talking a lot and it comes sort of naturally to you. You're able to pick up on things faster. like I was pretty good with that stuff the first 2 years that I was at Miami. And baseball is something that I really didn't have a feel for until probably late into my junior year, even not even now, I'm gonna say. Like I'm still figuring it out now, but this year calling baseball has been unbelievable because it's the only sport I feel like where you can really sit down and turn to the person who you're calling the game with and have conversations throughout because there's so much action throughout football and basketball and all the other sports that we call. But baseball is the one where you can really sit down and you could also shepherd the conversation the way you want. If you want to talk about how good a team is doing, if you want to talk about a player's individual story, if you want to talk about something unrelated to the sport, fans love to hear you talk about stuff that you're interested in, what's going on around. And I love to have those conversations with my broadcast partner because I feel like a lot of the time with football and basketball, your color guy's there and he's kind of filling in for you where you need a break. Whereas I lean heavily on my color guy when I'm working because I love having that camaraderie during a broadcast. And I feel like baseball is a sport where you can really do that.
Yeah. So, what's the hardest sport to call, you think?
Genuinely, I'd also say baseball because there's so much time that you have to fill. It's the most talking that you have to do because it's getting better in that sense because the pitch clock is being activated and there is more of a quicker movement to the game. But at the same time, when you first are starting calling baseball, I mean, you are sat there waiting 30 seconds, not sure how to clog time, how to fill time. And when the ball's in play, there's so many different things that you have to call. There's so many different words that you have to use because if you use the same word a couple different times on basketball, people don't notice it. But if you do it on baseball, every time a guy hits the ball, if you say, scythed or, ripped, like you're going to hear it and fans are going to get a little annoyed at it. But I would say, in baseball, it's hard. It's hard. It's hard to get a figure on baseball, especially when you're starting out. But like I said, once you get the handle of it, I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. So what are your plans for the summer?
My plans for this summer actually are to take it easy for once. I've been interning the last 3 summers, and I think this is the last chance I really have to kind of just take in being a college student um, before I start working. And what I really want to do is to start the summer. I want to close the season with the baseball team here, which I'm going to do. So I'm going to be calling the ACC tournament. Hopefully, if they qualify, which they should, be doing a regional and then cover them as far as they can and broadcast as far as they can go this season. And then after that, I kind of just want to take it easy. I want to see some family. Working these internships, I haven't been able to do a lot of things with my family. I want to go out to the Bay Area. I want to see my cousin who had her bat mitzvah last summer that I had to miss because I was working. I want to go back to Chicago. I want to see my cousin who was just born. I just want to see my family this summer. I want to take it easy and then get ready for the real world.
So, what's it going to be like trying to go out there and find a job somewhere?
Man, it's competitive, man. This industry is not what it was 10, 15 years ago. There's so many different ways for people to get involved now. I think what I want to do is I really want to get into radio broadcasting. I really want to potentially host my own show in a small market, be able to broadcast some high school, maybe low tier college sports, and work my way up from there.
All right. What is it just and then finally just talk about your time at Miami and just your experience doing all this.
I mean, it's something I'll never forget. It's something to hold with me for a very long time. I still remember my first meeting with WVUM because they said, hey, just because you're a freshman doesn't mean you can't get involved. And I went straight up to my director at the time, Danny LaRose, and I told him like, hey, I wanted to do this for a long time. Week after I got put on a game, I was producing football games after that, and I just told myself I was going to be committed to this, and that's what I did. And it's just been unbelievable to call so many games, to do it with so many people that I can call friends now, to be able to work on TV and write. I mean, the opportunities that I have truly been incredible and something that I'll take with me the rest of my life.
All right. Well, Cal, thanks so much for coming on and talking with us, and best of luck in your career, and best of luck the rest of the year.
Thank you so much, Casey. Thank you for having me on.